Now, Mercedes driver Lewis Hamilton had one of the most difficult weekends of his career at Imola, failing to score a point after failing to qualify and being stuck behind Pierre Gasly for the majority of the main race, while teammate George Russell finished fourth. Despite Hamilton's inability to move up the field, Red Bull team principal Christian Horner believes there is little doubt Lewis Hamilton will be a factor for race wins in 2022 once Mercedes irons out its car issues. While he claims he isn't paying too much attention to Mercedes' performance issues, he's confident Hamilton will compete for victories with Red Bull and Ferrari at some point. He's obviously had a horrible weekend at Imola, but he's still an 8-time world champion. 7-time, Mercedes are 8. I forgot Nico Rosberg won 1. So he hasn't forgotten how to drive in the last 4 races. At some point, they'll sort their issues out and he'll become a factor, I've got no doubt. But obviously the young guys are doing a great job at the moment. I don't spend my time worrying about Mercedes' problems. We've got enough issues of our own to be focused on, so that's what I tend to focus on. The troubled Mercedes team intends to conduct tests at this weekend's Miami Grand Prix in the hopes of resuming its position near the front of the field. Last week, Mercedes trackside engineering director Andrew Chauvelin hinted that potentially significant new parts might arrive for the US race. In addition, Mercedes team boss Toto Wolff appeared to confirm that new components would be brought to Miami in his comments in Mercedes' weekend preview, though he hinted that anything tried at the new venue would be more about validating the direction for future upgrades rather than being immediately game-changing new parts. Since we returned from Italy, we've learned as much from the weekend as we can, and in parallel, our learning has continued in the wind tunnel and simulations. We found several directions for improving the car, and we'll be conducting experiments in Miami to correlate those simulations and hopefully confirm the development path for the coming races. Both drivers have been working in the simulator ahead of Miami, and the factories have been busy producing updates for the next races. The saying, "smooth seas do not make good sailors," comes to mind. This team has shown its resilience over many years, and the difficult start to this season has lit a fire within every team member determined to put it right. Now, Mercedes has been especially hard hit by the porpoising issue, which has returned to F1 with a new generation of ground effect cars. As a result, it's been forced to raise its ride height, which has severely hampered the performance of its W13. But Wolff has been emphatic that, despite early season disappointment, the team is not concerned about its competitive position. Instead, he claims that the engineers and drivers are taking a calm and methodical approach to figuring out how to solve the problems. On the other side of the panic, Red Bull's own issues had seen the team suffer a double DNF in the first round in Bahrain and then lose Max Verstappen from a comfortable second place in Melbourne, but Horner was pleased with how quickly those issues were resolved. It was a great response both in the factory in Milton Keynes and in Japan. The best possible response was to achieve maximum score, bar 1 point across the 2 days of racing. So a great fight back, and I'm very proud of the whole team. I think we've understood those issues, or the issue that we had in Australia, which was different to the issue that we had in Bahrain. You can never say never, but obviously it's demonstrated that we've managed to get on top of the issue from Australia. At the 4 circuits to date, Ferrari was on top in Bahrain and Australia, whilst Red Bull had the edge in Saudi Arabia and Imola. When asked if he expects a battle royale over the rest of the season, team principal Horner replied, "I think it'll be horses for courses. Ferrari has a great car, great drivers, and they're going to be super competitive in Miami, and I think it'll be like that for the whole season." Leclerc's lead over Verstappen at the top of the table could have been greater if the Monegasque hadn't spun from 3rd place at Imola and finished 6th. Horner addressed the various twists and turns that lie ahead, saying, "It's so early in the championship, there are going to be swings and roundabouts. Obviously the DNFs have been costly, particularly for Max in Bahrain and Australia, but it's a long season. We took an awful lot of confidence out of the Imola weekend. The championship, it was important for us to take points out of Ferrari, which we did in both championship tables. We take that out of that weekend and try to build on it in Miami, an all-new circuit." But, unlike Imola, Miami may not be as easy for Red Bull, with rivals Ferrari bringing in some new parts for the Miami Grand Prix. After not bringing any new parts to the previous race at Imola, team principal Mattia Binotto says there'll be some components specific to the new Miami International Autodrome, but larger updates will come a race or 2 later. We will not have the main one in Miami, but we still have a few parts on the car. Because Miami is a high-speed circuit compared to the ones we've had so far, so certainly in terms of downforce, we will run something different compared to what we had. We're quite confident, it's quite an efficient one, but we know as well as Red Bull have got a good medium-low downforce package as well. They'll be competitive. It will be a completely new track, a new challenge, quite interesting, pretty curious to be there. We will adapt our car in terms of downforce levels, as I said, which is important. We're still working on the porpoising, which is still quite visible. We've got it, certainly more than the Red Bull, and in there's still some performance potential that we need to try and get. These are the main ones for Miami, but the main upgrades will come soon after. The long straights of Miami will put an emphasis on power unit performance, but Binotto believes Ferrari and Red Bull will have a fairly even battle on that front. It's true, they had good speed once again at Imola. It was very difficult for us, or impossible to pass without the DRS situation. The fact that we've got more clipping, that's a compromise which is a choice we made in terms of design. We still believe that our one is the right choice or the good choice. Yes, the power unit is certainly competitive, and Red Bull have got a good engine, as I think we have, but overall it's very balanced between the two. Now, the ability of the vehicle to handle the porpoising phenomenon remains one of the key performance determining factors with the new generation of F1 cars. As we've seen with Mercedes, the effect can make or break what is otherwise a sound car in terms of design and engineering. Ferrari has also experienced some bouncing, but at a much faster rate than the Silver Arrows, making it less of a factor. Nonetheless, it's something the Scuderia may wish to avoid. Red Bull, on the other hand, has been virtually immune to the phenomenon, with the car bouncing significantly less than their competitors. Porpoising is still a problem for much of the grid, and the role of floor aero is critical. There has been some speculation since Imola about a concept Red Bull is using on the underside of its RB18. Red Bull's floor has an ice skate-like strake, a metal strip with holes that sits in the rear outer corner of the floor and appears to offer numerous performance benefits. One theory is that the metal strake prevents the floor from flexing under load, preventing porpoising from occurring too early. This could be accomplished in two ways. First, by adding stiffness directly to that region of the floor, and second, by acting as a sort of skid, preventing the floor from flexing any further once it's touched the track itself. It remains to be seen what kind of solution Ferrari might implement, but their engineers are undoubtedly looking to Red Bull's design for inspiration. However, the future of the championship battle remains on a knife's edge, and either of the two title rivals could eke out an advantage, whether in the development race or on the track. So, what are your thoughts on Lewis Hamilton's current form, and do you think he'll make a comeback? Ferrari and Red Bull find themselves locked in a development battle. Who will emerge victorious? We'd love to hear from you in the comment section below. Thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, and don't forget to click the bell button to be notified of future videos.